Next month will mark the 69th anniversary of the start of the Korean War. I recently sat down with some veterans of the war to talk about their service and whether peace can ever come to the Korean Peninsula.
I got married before I left. That was my wife's idea, not mine.
Newly drafted and newly married, Bob McGeorge was off to the Korean Peninsula.
I was from one coast to the other.
Oh, really?
I tell you, we were the only battalion like it in the United States Army at the time. So everybody that wanted border support, we were it.
And he wasn't alone.
My MOS was 20910, was electronics technician. We flew non-manned drones in Korea.
William Reichert was there too, and Pat Dillenardo was infantry.
Somebody had to walk. Some of these guys are in tanks and whatever the hell they're in. Somebody had to walk.
Tanker Donald Klingers will forever remember his first day in the war.
As I started up a path, and a Korean soldier jumped out with a bayonet, and he pushed that thing up against my neck.
And Bill Dowd recalls the bitterly cold winters.
It was so cold that every so many minutes the guys in the firing batteries had to fire the howitzers just to keep the oil from freezing up.
Then there was Bae-Suk Lee.
I was born and raised in North Korea.
He escaped the North in 1946.
It took 4 or 5 days. First a little bit in a train, then on foot.
He was 17 years old and went to live in Seoul with his aunt and uncle. When the North pushed into Seoul, they disappeared.
One day she never came back. Under communism, you cannot even protest or ask a question. You know, what is the charge? There's no law such under communism.
His uncle disappeared days later. Lee says he hid in a closet, waiting for the day U.S. troops would push into Seoul.
I decided to run toward the hill. I went there, here. It was, I thought American Marine. It was not American, it was Korean Marine under the U.S. Marine Corps.
Meanwhile, Donald Klingers was surviving the war.
Just all sea rations for a month. No shower, no water for a month.
And Bill Dowd's 25th Infantry Division realized survival was not always possible.
We were supposed to go over to a place called Taegu and meet the 24th Division. It was non-existent by then. They were wiped out. Gone.
With the war in full swing, Bae-Suk Lee found himself in a new role.
I found 10th Corps U.S. Army was looking for interpreters because they were not going to North.
Lee knew the mindset of communism, having both lived and escaped it.
I had this for a long time.
Fast forward to the past 2 years, these men see history play out as North and South symbolically walk across the DMZ. They watch a hearty handshake and closed-door discussion between President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
When you first heard that first summit was going to take place, what was your initial reaction?
I thought it was great if we could have some dialogue with the North Koreans, but I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them.
I hate to say it, but I think it was a pretty naive idea that he had to think that mere friendship and shaking hands was going to actually change the attitude of that country towards us. I feel that they were kind of playing him for a sucker.
Like they always preach, you can't trust a communist. They'll tell you anything anything you want to hear that for their benefit.
It's never going to happen. I mean, I think it's worth a try, but that guy's not going to give up what he's got over there right now.
Lee says the show of force, military parades, and missile launches are keys to North Korea's control.
They have to have an enemy.
Yeah.
That's the way they mobilize their own people.
Lee adds he would love to see free travel between the North and South, but it begs the major question, will the North ever change its ways?
Until that happens, really open.
After the Korean War, Mr. Lee became Dr. Lee, serving 15 years within the South Korean Air Force as a flight surgeon. He says coming to America as an immigrant was a dream and is humbled by the freedoms he and his family have here in the U.S. He gained his U.S. citizenship in 1976.